Hi, this is Nagar, compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the GreySheet. I write those meals down. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between my meals no matter what. I do eat my abstinent meals no matter what, and my abstinence is the most important thing in my life without exception. And I put my abstinence first. And I just want to share March is a month of different kinds of tradition and celebrations from St. Patrick's Day to Easter, and it's also the month that I celebrate my birthday, and I just wanted to share how I celebrate those days with family and my birthday now that I'm abstinent. And the first thing I do is I put my food first, and I stop whatever's going on my to-do list and whatever I think is so important, and make sure that I have the right amount of food in my house, and that I prepare my lunch for the next day or dinner, and think about where I'm going and who I'm going to be around, and make my food delicious and abundant and something I can look forward to. And once I know I have that food in my house, and I have my scales, and I've weighed and measured my food, and then I've committed my food, I can then deal with how to face those situations and feel my feelings, and most importantly, how to celebrate in a new way. And at first it was very challenging to be around all the foods I didn't eat, but as time went on and the cravings went away, because those substances weren't running through my system, so I did not have the phenomenon of craving, the physical craving. And then in time, the mental obsession went away. At first, it was very hard, and I would make phone calls before and after events, and I would make sure I had my own car so I could leave the event on time. I would think of activities I could do besides eating and being around the food table at those activities, and think about who I could help and what I could bring to the event. And sometimes if I felt vulnerable, I decided to not participate or cut it short. And then it got easier and easier to be around those foods and to not notice them as much. They're not so prominent. And I notice that if I feel that they're prominent in any way, it's probably because I'm having a feeling. So it has nothing to do with the food. It's just the old system of, having a feeling and thinking of that thing first. But I'm more aware and I can identify it now. And then now, by staying abstinent, when I think about my birthday, the first thing I think about is not those foods that I associate with the birthday, and I remember the first year and second year of abstinence, it was such a big deal of that. I was so used to that. And now it's like, it's my birthday. You know what? I'm abstinent. I'm no longer, 220 pounds, and I no longer have to cringe when I look in the mirror. I no longer have to worry about my health. And what do I want to do? I love things, now I get to see, I love taking walks, and I love moving my body, and I love being outdoors, and I gift myself with that. And I get to see that, oh, you know what? I don't want to go to a movie and sit in the dark right now. I want to have fun and go on an adventure and, take in some art and all those things. They have nothing to do with food, but they're experiences, and they fill my soul. And what kind of people do I want to be around? But we don't eat no matter what. And that's my dog in the background. And I'm so grateful that I am celebrating and living life abundantly, and I'm living the dream, as my friend says, because I'm GreySheet absent, no matter what.
Hi, my name is Eileen. I'm a compulsive eater, and I weigh and measure my food today. And I'm a member of GreySheeters Anonymous, which gives me a lot of joy and possibility and hope in my life. I've been I've been thinking about these springtime holidays and how different my life is today than it used to be, when I was totally in the food, when my mind was constantly thinking about those special foods that we could eat on special holidays. And for me, growing up, it was the things that were put in a basket, brought by the bunny, and my sisters and I would just delight and pick over each other's things and trade. And my absolute favorite substance to put in my mouth in the world was sugar, and has been since I was a really little girl. And with that substance, I was able to find comfort. I was able to find some kind of joy. And it's kind of sad for me as I look back that that was where the joy was. It wasn't in people, it wasn't in celebrations, it wasn't in playing with other kids. I grew up in a kind of sad house, and there was alcoholism in the home, there was fighting, there was a lot of unhappiness. My mom was depressed, and she was also a compulsive eater. So for me, all the holidays, what it meant was I got to eat some special food that had a lot of sugar in it. And so I guess I wanted to just admit that, and also to say that today that is just no longer the case for me. When I go by those aisles, those seasonal aisles in the grocery store and in the department store, I just, shake my head and say, not my food. And I'm really grateful that the food that I buy for my body is usually on the outsides of the grocery store, the produce section, the meat section, the dairy section. That's where I find what nourishes me today and the foods that I enjoy on the gray sheet. But when I was little, it was different. And I found that as an adult, I was still looking to those substances, that sugar, that colorful sweetness to bring joy to my life. And it's, I can't blame myself for that. That's who I was. That's where I was. I didn't know there was any other way to be. But I discovered that in the GreySheet food program with the GreySheet community, which has hundreds of people all over the world doing the same thing, I can actually have a life that's full and rich and has in it not only food that I enjoy 3 times a day, every day, but also other sweetnesses, other ways to connect in the world, other ways to use the gifts that God gave me, other ways to be a whole and full person. And one of the things that happened when the weight came off was that I realized that I could make friends with my body, that I didn't have to consider it an enemy, that I could wear clothes in the springtime that in years past, I just dreaded the springtime. I was prey to dieting and getting ready for summer and trying to have a bikini body, even though I never would have a body that I felt comfortable in a bikini. I just wasn't built that way, and I was actually afraid to show more skin. There were ways that extra weight on my body worked for me, that I didn't like a lot of male attention because I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I didn't know how to protect myself. That was part of what food did for me. But when I got abstinent and I learned how to talk to people about my food, how to say what I needed, how to admit what I liked, how to enjoy my food, how to take care of myself, a lot of things changed then. So I'm happy to say that abstinence really works for me, that I love my food 3 times a day, and that when I look forward to springtime, I am looking forward to wearing the same clothes I wore last year because they still fit. And I've found clothes that I like, that please me, that help me to express myself and who I am in the world. And it's just another added benefit of being abstinent in the GreySheet. Thanks, everybody.